Please don't quit your job, and I don't want your boss to come and find me.
Hey guys, my name is Chun Weng and you're tuning into the Crypto Kopitiam, Malaysia's top crypto podcast. Usually what happens is that I talk to the camera and then the camera doesn't talk back, but today I've got a few friends, including, as per usual, KC, and one friend today who is super OG in the crypto world. Colbert, aka Sir Shiba Ninja, is not your average Bitcoin hodler. He is what I would call a super hodler. He's so OG that he's been here since 2013. He is also the guy behind Bitcoin Malaysia, the largest crypto community in Malaysia, and the community that he started is partly the reason for why the Crypto Kopitiam is even here today. If it wasn't for Bitcoin Malaysia, I wouldn't have met a strong community to support the crypto journey that I'm on, and it's also where I met KC actually. So Colbert, welcome to the Crypto Kopitiam. Very excited to have you here. And how are you doing today?
I'm good, guys. Thanks a lot, Chun Weng and KC, for inviting me tonight.
Welcome, Colbert.
Welcome, Colbert. So, usually the first question that we usually ask, standard lah. So we usually ask, like, how do you find crypto and find out about crypto and things like that. So let's start off with that first, maybe.
Yeah, so like in 2012, I actually had the chance to like see this news article on Reuters, and basically it was talking about Bitcoin and basically what was happening around, like mostly like USA centric news because it's Reuters. And then I delved deeper as I opened up the main Bitcoin website and I downloaded Satoshi's white paper and I went through it, and basically I've been down the rabbit hole ever since.
Wow. I mean, that's a very, very huge rabbit hole, I would say. How did that actually like lead to Bitcoin Malaysia actually? I mean, was it because you got bored of like just doing it alone and then you needed someone to talk to? Like what was the process like, and how do you go there to all the way to starting like the largest crypto community in Malaysia today?
Yeah, so like sometimes they say that it's basically the better way to understand something is to educate someone about it. So basically I had a website that actually showcased like the news and updates on Bitcoin. And that's where I started the website Bitcoin Malaysia back in 2012. I think it was like middle of 2012. So if you talk about 2012, next year is going to be 2022. That's like 10 years anniversary next year. So from there, yeah. So it's like almost 10 years, it feels like a decade, even more than a decade, it feels like 100 years. And from there, it's like, I decided to like connect with the people around the world and join the largest Bitcoin forum, which is Bitcoin Talk. And that's where I met a lot of people. And of course, like from there, we had some Tetarik sessions. Yeah.
I miss those data session, but it's really crazy. When I joined, it's around like 2018, 2019, around that time, and we actually grow. Like I think we grow a lot from like 50k members to 50k is even lower than that. To right now, I don't know how many members we have already. I lost count, but it's crazy. And also good to see like the community members and like the people who love crypto in Malaysia keep growing, and the people who are interested in crypto keep growing. So about that part, right? So Colbert, how like you have such a big community. So how do you manage to? I mean, there's a lot of Facebook group out there and things like this, but most of it like they just die off lah after some years. Especially a community that big, it end up turning into a community where people pasting like scammy links and stuff like that. So how do you keep this community active and alive and manage to make it a tight-knit community?
Yeah, I guess like sometimes the best strategy is probably still real life events. Of course, right now, during this COVID season, we can't really go out. But back then, we had a lot of events, like real life events. And, because there's like a lot of crypto projects. And back then, we didn't have any like real digital asset exchanges in Malaysia. So I guess back then it was pretty easy. Like everyone was like trying to just increase like user base and just coming out and collaborate on various projects like the Ethereum KL guys. And back then we only had like Luno before the whole scene got regulated and all that. So I think back then everyone was excited because it's something new, and it's like having a new girlfriend. You get all excited and all that. So you put all your time and effort in that, you know. Yeah, so I think that's a great thing
Yeah.
back then. It's like fresh and new, lah. Yeah.
KC would know about this. He's got so many so many girlfriends.
Yeah, man. Crypto take away my relationship life. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm actually really interested to know, right? Like, how do you still remember that time when KC actually joined Bitcoin Malaysia? Or is there a story or something like that behind it? You know, because he's so active on Bitcoin Malaysia to the point where he's a moderator now, right? So yeah.
Yeah, thanks to Casey, because we have like few guys who volunteer and try to remove so-called scammy and spammy links and all that. And I particularly remember Casey because he's like a law student, and we were waiting for him to be a lawyer and a judge and all that. Hopefully one day, and help to regulate this space lah. Yeah, so it's like there's not many law students around. I remember there's like a lot of accounting students and IT students, but when it comes to law students, there's not many. I met some who are even good with software programming and all that, even though they are lawyers. But especially like that industry is like pretty special, and that's why I still remember Casey coming to our events.
What about your side of the story? What was it like? You know?
It's just like one day I scroll across like, and then I realized like there's a meetup close to me, because I think that time they do it in, where's the place again? I think it's around USJ or something. Yeah, so it's really close to me. I'm doing something like assignment and things like this at that place that time. So I was like, okay, let's go to try to check this thing out lah. So I went there, and then I see Colbert, I see Jason, and that day is actually a special event. It's not like the normal Bitcoin one. So I think they invited Tazo Sky to actually come to give a talk or something like this, and that's how I joined them. And then after that, like after the event, basically like as per like, I think this is their SOP lah. So Colbert invited everyone who wanted to go for a Mamak session to just go to nearby Mamak, and then I went to there, and then yeah, that's how I started to know all the people in basically involved in Bitcoin Malaysia, and started like my community journey here. Yeah, before that I'm all alone in crypto.
I can't wait to join you guys for one of the Mamat sessions. Kind of jealous now.
It is a good session. I really miss those days. You can go out, you can chill, you can talk about crypto. I mean, we didn't talk only about crypto, we talked about a lot of things, but yeah, good days, man.
My God, man. When's the next one?
Yeah, hopefully by next year, or even before Chinese New Year. I guess we had too many lockdowns.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time. Yeah, I always hear, because I also know a few people like Dandy and a few other people. They always talk about the legendary Mamat sessions, which I hear too much about, but nobody tells me. I've not experienced it myself, so one day maybe. Actually, I'm also curious to know, right? So how different is like today's crypto community compared to the community back then? So according to Harpreet, right, just to quote him, right, he said back then there were more nerds, and now and now it's like people are more like, people are in it for the hype. So what would you say about that statement, actually? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that is because of everything going mainstream, like NFTs. Like I remember that day there was someone on Twitter saying that I went for this Hong Kong like gallery NFT slash show, and it's like 90% of those people are like mainstream people. I don't recognize these people. I mean, the whole thing is going mainstream thanks to NFT. Before that, it was like DeFi summer, and that really happens because cross section of the community will come in. There'll be like stewardess, pilots, those guys like accountants and lawyers coming in. It's pretty normal. There's nothing wrong with that, because if you talk about cryptocurrencies, it cuts across all sections of the community and the public. They want to understand it, and this is all like so-called financial transactions and financial payments. Everybody wants to have their own Lambo, I guess. Everybody wants to quit their job and go full-time like you guys. So yeah, it's not a bad thing.
I mean, they will be pretty disappointed if they know like they can still work 8 hours in their regular job, but in crypto you need to work 16 hours.
Oh, I thought you work 24 hours. Come on.
Need sleep lah, Colbert.
Only 24?
Talking about
Okay.
NFT, right, Colbert? Well, I need to spill something here. So Colbert need to get some help lah because he addicted to NFT. As you can see, his Zoom background, I think that is hers, right?
Damien Hirst.
Damien Hirst, yeah, that is Damien Hirst NFT, which is going for a crazy price tag now. But Colbert, can you talk a little bit about like all this minting, like how you feel being in this NFT summer thing, like because I know a lot of people from like the old Bitcoin days, they have quite a negative view on NFT things. So I mean, you're one of the people who come from those days, but why are you able to be so open-minded to all this kind of thing? And what's your thoughts on all this development in crypto space?
Yeah, so like me, I guess like sometimes we have to empty our glass and just be around to learn up new stuff lah. Like I mean like a lot of traditional guys, if let's say you talk about local traditional guys, high net worth guys, they don't really understand the scene. But if you go to USA or you go to Europe, they already understand where the market is going to, you see, because maybe they're well read, they know what are the future trends and all that. And if you go to Europe and USA and some countries, a lot of people are so-called like really educated and they spend a lot of time like reading books and reading on what's coming online. So of course some sections of countries and communities, they're more to like, let's say, spending time on TikTok and watching YouTube. So that's not bad, that's still entertainment. But I guess it depends on what you want out of life. Do you spend like your time reading up on what's gonna be impactful? Or do you just entertain yourself with mindless cartoons and cat videos and dog videos? It really depends on what you want in life.
Can watch my videos. Can learn a few things.
They should pay you they should pay you 1 Bitcoin or 1 Ethereum per video.
Oh, thank you.
Need to set up the donation page.
I prefer Bitcoins, so interesting to know. So like, so you've seen the progression of crypto from 2013, and then 2017 with another bull cycle. Now 2021, things have progressed so much. Things are so different now. So, is it okay if you give us a bit of a crash course on what 2013 was like, 2017 was like, 2021 is like, and where do you think crypto is going to move forward, and how is it going to look like in the future, maybe in the short term and then long term? It'll be so interesting to actually hear someone who has gone through all of this.
Well, like in 2012 and 2013, like 2013, I went to a big conference in Singapore. So back then, I could like meet legends like Roger Ver, like up close, and talk to a lot of guys in the banking space. And like in Singapore back then, it's like you could see accountants and some regulators coming for that conference. That was like one of the biggest and major event in Singapore back then. So right now, that one is defunct. They don't have the conference anymore. Of course, there are other types of blockchain events. But when it comes to, let's say, all this so-called focus back then, it was just like on mining. So there were a lot of guys setting up like liquidity mining on Bitcoin, things like you can have cloud mining and back then. So that was the focus back then. And of course, some focus was on trading also, like trading bots and all that. And then after that, they move on to different things like Ethereum came into the scene. You had the so-called initial coin offering for Ethereum, and then you had Vitalik coming in, and everyone was like moving to so-called Ethereum and putting more time and effort into that space. Of course, from there, basically it was just like only a few projects coming online back then. But right now you have like after that ICOs, everyone was like coming into the scene, and then back then everyone was like coming in for the cash grab, and there were a lot of rent seekers. And I think from there was also a big bear market after 2017, and right now we have like things like DeFi summer and NFT summer. So liquidity moves around, and you have like guys who are so-called moving their liquidity around because they probably want to have better upside. So I've seen some guys like move from Bitcoin to Ethereum to DeFi to NFT. So I think it depends on your strategy. Some guys have like a shorter strategy in terms of, let's say, the life cycle. Some have longer strategy and, longer holding power and all that. But I think the best strategy is probably like minimum of 3 years. Yeah. Then after that, you still need to move on to maybe other landscapes.
But why 3 years from your perspective? Is it because of the Bitcoin cycle, or is there a particular reason for why the 3 years?
So I give an example, like let's say there's one project called Cardano. So I've been holding it for quite some time, so it's like almost 3 years now. But I guess there's still a lot of projects that are still pretty new. So in that sense, like I guess the best time is like 3 years, which is actually quite good. You see higher upside after 3 years normally. When it comes to anything below 3 years, I think it's going to be very volatile. Yeah, so I think that's always the best average time to have a best time frame. So anything less than that is always hard to so-called put a valuation on that project.
I kind of agree with that. Like recently we see I would say like I know like that's as I mentioned just now, I met Colbert in a event that they invited Tezos. So Tezos is a project that I think recently they also like got a huge boost in their user base and stuff like this because of NFT. So what they do is like basically they are I wouldn't say they are direct competitor of Ethereum, but they also have their own NFT ecosystem right there. And it takes them like 2018 till now. That is 3 years. It takes them 3 years to actually figure out the right path they are actually building on. So I think, yeah, if a project is very early, it's kind of hard for you to put do a valuation on it. So I really agree with Colbert at that part lah. By the way, Colbert, Cardano for 3 years. Yeah, licking your moon back.
Yeah, so a lot of my so-called like even friends from the banking world and OGs, they told me why Cardano. It's like, okay, I mean it depends on your strategy and what data you have, right? But I like even like Tezos, I've been following them for quite some time. I was involved in the so-called initial rounds for Tezos. So it depends on actually where you want to go from there. But for me, the standard so-called time frame is like average 3 years.
Well, there you have it. I mean, this is something from Shifu. So you might want to remember that in the future. I actually just learned about this as well. So starting from when you joined since 2012, and that's a very long time. But what gave you the conviction to actually believe in crypto, though? Because back then, it's so not conventional to actually even talk about crypto. Like, yeah, nowadays it's like everybody is a crypto millionaire, right? But what made you think that, this technology is really going to be, the future? So I was just wondering if there was something that just kept you there. Was it just, it's impossible, it's just blind fate or something like that? Because you seem like a pretty logical person coming from a system engineer background, right? Why would anyone with a career of somewhere around, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around 10 plus years, right? Being okay, but you know what? I'm going to quit. I'm going to focus on this full time. So I think that takes a lot of guts. But other than that, there must also be a logical reasoning or something like that, perhaps?
Yeah. So I guess even before that, I should have a disclaimer. Anything I say basically is non-financial advice. Yeah. Please don't quit your job, and I don't want your boss to come and find me. For the guys out there. Yeah.
You can find him on Bitcoin Malaysia if you want, actually.
Yeah. So I guess it depends on actually what's your so-called perception of even like technology and all that. So if you look at future trends coming online, there's a lot of documents out there, like even from World Economic Forum, things like whether your company has a digital strategy or not. Because I've been in the IT industry for quite some time, they move on from like, let's say, IBM AX servers in the banking world, core banking servers, to like things like new stuff, like back then you had Sun Microsystems and all. Then after that they move on to like Linux. Like back then I was involved in one project that actually where a local bank was using Linux, which was pretty new back then. And back then Linux didn't have a graphical interface. So they moved from Windows to Linux to actually save costs. They had a lot of cost savings from that. From there, you just see that basically everything is about cost savings in the enterprise world. So to me, it's like if you use blockchain correctly, if everything is decentralized and the data is immutable and there's no censorship, basically it's censorship resistant. And in that sense, it's like a lot of things you don't actually have to worry about. I guess like blockchain is sort of like a triple entry ledger where maybe one day you don't really have to have, let's say, reconciliation of certain transactions. So I guess like that is probably the thing that actually I looked at, because I was also like involved in some banking projects and telco projects, and I used to see some telco projects having the issue of reconciliation, same for banks. So if you have that in place, why do you need so much manpower to actually reconcile some transactions?
Understandable. Wow. And so with just that, but even that is still not like 100% certainty though. Still takes faith, still takes, the belief that, somehow if all this fails and something else that's similar to crypto comes on, or similar to Bitcoin, which, I mean, there were a lot of Bitcoin killers back then. So if something like that took over, so, respect for that actually. Yeah. Okay, so we usually wrap up with non-financial advice, but for you this time, we're going to do something a bit different. So we're going to ask you a non-life advice, right? So we're going to ask you this question, which is something that you've done yourself. So imagine if somebody were to say that, hey, you know what, bro, I'm going to quit and then just go into crypto full time. I mean, you did it too, Colbert. Why can't I? Right? So what would you tell this person? And what would your potential advice be? Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on the person's past experience and skill sets. So for some people, I guess like going out to perform sales activities or marketing is basically like simple. It's a simple thing for them. Some people like to be with the crowd. They like to have alcohol. They like to smoke cigars and all that. So maybe there's definitely a lot of opportunities for, these type of people in the industry, because you need to sell stuff, you need to market, you need to go into the business development world, bring in more partnerships and collaborations. And even at the back end, of course, technical people like front end engineers or back end engineers or server engineers, that one is actually something which is actually related to technology, infrastructure and all that. So that is always in demand. So it really depends on actually what type of companies you want to join. And I guess right now, thanks to COVID, there's a lot of remote jobs. There's a lot, definitely. So that's a great thing. Now you can be in your pajamas and just wake up like 10 a.m. and your boss wouldn't know. As long as you finish your work and you send out the proper emails, I guess they won't be actually calling you up. So that's a great thing about remote jobs. And for myself personally, I've been doing remote jobs for quite some time now. Even back then, I was like in a blogging area for like 3 years as a so-called full-time guy, but then I move on to other things because that was actually a difficult sector to be in. There's like a lot of new people coming in. So really, actually still goes back to what type of person you are. You know yourself, and then know the industry. Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
You heard it here first from the Crypto Kopitiam. That was Colbert Lau. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, Colbert, this question comes from your Twitter handle, Shiba Ninja. Why Shiba? I think this is because you hold some Shiba. So from here, I want to ask you like your views, like specifically on meme coins. Like, I mean, it's pretty interesting, like how Shiba grows from just a meme, and right now I think there's a movement and things like that behind. But very interested to know your general view on coins like this.
Maybe we can get Colbert to kind of explain what a meme coin is first, because I think people kind of get it, but not really. So yeah, maybe you can talk a little bit about that and also answer Casey's question as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think generally people forget to have fun. Like we had Elon Musk tweeting out about Dogecoin, and you had a lot of memes whereby you have pictures of Shiba dogs everywhere on crypto Twitter, and people was just pumping Doge all over the place, and the price went up. Of course, I wish I knew where are my Doge coins. I really lost them, so that's another story. I had them somewhere, but anyway, I mean, crypto coins come and go, you know, so it's like maybe the universe will give me new Doge coins one day. Yeah. So of course, I think end of the day, when it comes to community, I think that's very important because people can just leave your project anytime, and most of the guys are anonymous, and everyone is just a meme or avatar on Twitter nowadays, and it's kind of hard if you don't know who are your holders, your token holders or your coin holders. But I guess end of the day, if you have a strong community and they believe in your project, you know, they will take basically a part in your governance, voting and all that. So end of the day, I think like myself, you know, currently I have a Shiba dog. Okay, and interestingly, dogs are, you know, have different characters. Shiba has also a different character, so that's why I think even like Shiba dogs are interesting. And right now, I'm learning new stuff, lah. You know, just taking care of dog.
Yeah, you know, I don't know why there are no cat coins. You know, dog coins usually tend to do better. Dogs are better than cats, guys.
Hey, Chun Weng, this will get attacked.
People are gonna attack me after this, I'm sure.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
cut that out, YB. You know.
Don't cut it, YB.
Okay, but yeah. Okay, so that's the wrap. Thank you so much for joining Crypto Kopitiam, Colbert. Really appreciate you joining us for today's session. And that's the wrap. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also click on the notification button for more content like this. See ya.